Do God and prayer have anything to do with the horrific shooting that occurred this week in San Bernardino, California? Do God and prayer have anything to do with responding to the horrific mass murders that happened there? Well, according to the New York Daily News, the answer is no. In a cover proudly declaring God isn't fixing this, the paper heaped abuse on Republican politicians who shared through social media and on air their prayers for people in San Bernardino. Frankly, I find the response of the paper to be offensive, disturbing, and foolish. And I want to be clear, I don't find it offensive or disturbing because it mocks the power of prayer and of God's presence. Prayer and faith are very personal things, and I would never say which is the right way to go. And that some people will pray their way through things and other people will not. That some people will feel the presence of God at precisely those moments when others say this is proof that there is no God. I actually think there's wisdom in all those responses. What I find outrageous about the paper was that at a moment when we should be in national mourning, they chose to stir the pot of moral outrage. And that's just not what we need. We need to be coming together at this moment to comfort each other, and yes, to do better to address this. So I appreciate their claim that for Republican politicians who have stood in the way of more and better gun laws, more needs to be done. But let's be clear. Anyone who thinks that we're simply going to legislate our way out of the mass violence problem we have in this country is as crazy as those who thump the Second Amendment and say if we simply armed more people, they could shoot the murderers quicker. The fact of the matter is, none of the solutions currently on offer, left or right, are going to get the job done. This is about changing a culture. I personally believe that better enforcement of the laws we do have, and almost certainly some additional ones, are going to be necessary. But I also believe that cultivating compassion, that using prayer if that works for you, and certainly when victims have asked for prayers to offer them, is also part of how you change a culture. At the very least, it seems to me that for anyone to play politics while bodies are barely cold is repugnant, and that long-term is not going to get us out of the policy and cultural cul-de-sac we're in which mass violence is on the rise, and all people seem to want to do in too much of the press and in too much of Washington is tell us how old solutions to new problems is the way to go. We know it's not. No, God is not going to fix this all by God's self, at least not on my view. But I may be wrong about that as well. What I know is moralizing lectures at a moment of mourning are never the way to go. And they won't even mobilize forces in the Republican Party that the paper is angry at. All they will do, as such sermons always do, is get both sides to dig in at precisely the moment we need to open up to each other and carry each other through, so that our responses are not simply driven by fear and by anger, but by creatively figuring out how to change the culture we're a part of, so that maybe, finally, we see mass shootings decline, if not go away altogether, as quickly as possible.